disqualified because this is the Marine Olympic zone here. You can't have false start. Although technically you can. Unless they charge you. Look at that. I'm getting ready for track and field. All right, Stochastic, here we go. It's your old pal EMac coming to you on a Saturday afternoon, joined by the one and only Matt Belman as we get ready for two excellent slates here. Some fun pitching choices on the evening slate. There's a 5-gamer going off at 7:15, and then we have an 8-game 4 o'clock slate right now. So it is a good time. Matthew, how have you been, good sir?
I've been well, man. Even better now that I'm here with you talking from MLB. Yeah, 2 fun slates. I think the priority is the afternoon main slate, but happy to talk both of them with you.
It's always good. I mean, it's wall-to-wall baseball. Then we got a great slates tomorrow. I believe there's a 4-game 4 o'clock slate tomorrow, if I remember correctly. And then we go into the All-Star break. So nothing for several days there. We will, of course, be pivoting over. You're going to see some stuff pop up from the probably at Drafters, at DraftKings, at Underdog. They're going to be talking about best ball, NFL best ball. Perfect time to get in on that. And it's a perfect time to get in on that Stochastic because I've decided it is going to be free for the rest of the season, starting right now. So from this moment forward, you can get all our best ball content free at Stochastic. All you have to do is click up on the upper bar there to the right. There's a little button that says best ball, and in parentheses it says free. Have an account. That's it. Just your email. That's all we need. Boom. You got your best ball content for the summer. Pretty good deal. I'm almost 50 drafts deep, Matt. I am playing across 3 sites. I am doing slow drafts. I think I've done 1 fast draft, and the rest have been slow drafts. It's kind of my pace. It's my busy time at work, but it's helpful being able to look at Matt Kajeski's rankings and get ready for best ball. Do you dabble in best ball at all?
No, I don't. Just don't have really the time for it, but that's just a lame excuse. I just haven't gotten into it.
Lame excuse, but you're not a lame person. So let's hear some of your fire takes today. Why are we playing, who is it? Charles Scott? Is that who we're playing today? Christian Scott. Christian Scott looks pretty good. The only knock I have against him before I turn it over to you, he doesn't quite get to that 6th inning. He really needs to get there on FanDuel to get that quality start bonus. Doesn't mean he can't get there. He just hasn't with a lot of regularity. Do you like him today? And who else is on your short list?
Yeah, I mean, I don't love Christian Scott because what you said, I don't think he's got a crazy long leash. And he doesn't have a ton of strikeout upside, but he's good. And he's so cheap and such a good matchup at home against the Rockies. Like, if you're watching this video and playing MLB DFS in, mid-July, the deal with the Rockies on the road. So coming in 4th in the top pitcher tool, highest owned on the slate. I get it. He's over-owned, but plenty of ways to get different offensively. Don't have a ton of top-end pitchers today. So yeah, I understand the Scott ownership. Sticking in that price range, though, Tyler Phillips also looks really, really good. The number 1 pitcher in our top pitcher tool, coming in with the 2nd most ownership behind only Scott. If I had to choose between them, I'd choose Phillips. Looks like a lot of people are playing them both. Can't argue with it. Just I'm afraid of how funneled lineup construction is going to be when you play those 2 guys together. Now, you can play anyone you want, but I am kind of intrigued about at least spending up with 1 pitcher just for the sake of a different roster construction. But as of now, I think Phillips and Scott are 2 of, if not the 2 best pitchers on the slate. How do you see it?
So Tyler Phillips makes me just tiny bit nervous here. Tiny bit nervous. I believe he was drafted out of high school, but he has been kicking around the minors. If I'm looking at the right guy. Yeah, I am. 2015. That's a long time. That is like Crash Davis levels of long. He started out with Texas and ended up in Philadelphia, where he is now. He had what does it say here for his top prospects? So, oh God, trying to look up somebody. Control F Phillips on the Philadelphia Phillies. It's not the best way to do this. Looks like he was playing, says low 90 sinker and slider. He was popular at one point, but he sort of slid down the ranks. He is 24th ranked prospect. He had a 2021 arrival timeline. Obviously, didn't hit that. I'm going to assume there might have been an injury in there. Of course, there was no season in 2020, which set back his career, although he had already pitched for 4 seasons in the minors, never got above AA. Prior to that, restarted back at A, worked his way back up. He projects for about 6 strikeouts per 9, 3.5 walks per 9, 1.5 home runs per 9. So pretty replacement level there. That is coming from Zips, Steamer, and the bat. So I was not as excited about him as I am for Scott. Scott also, let's see, let's get over to that notes page there. So Scott is someone who got to AA last year, had 62 innings. This year was his first action at AAA, 42.1 innings or 42 and a third. His strikeouts have not been that great, but it's below what he is projected for. He's projected for about 8 to 8.5 per 9. I think he will definitely get there. He is probably most likely going to be someone who should be a reliever, but he's going to get a chance to stay in the starting rotation. He was pitched for that super good Florida team a few years back, but the knock on him is his last 3 starts, 5 2/3, 5 2/3, 5 innings. So that is the one caveat. It's factored in the price, 39 on Yahoo. I'm playing him in my afternoon lineups there, 71 on DraftKings. He'd probably be a cash game pitcher for me. But I agree with you. I did not realize everybody was going to be funneling towards those two when I was writing my article at 7 o'clock this morning.
I'm with you on Phillips, but it's interesting to me. He's like pretty far and away the top overall pitcher in the top pitcher tool. I mean, that says something to me. Like the difference between him and Eovaldi, who's number 2, is basically the same difference between Eovaldi and Luis Heel, who's number like 6 or 7. So there's a pretty big gap. Like I wasn't really on Phillips either, but the tools are pushing him to me. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's we kind of talked about this last weekend. The I know better. The are we going to override some of these some of these things here? And you're like, what do I really want to do? Let's see.
Right.
I'm gonna look at a couple other industry sites for some projections and see what they've got. So,
and not gonna lie, if there was expensive pitching I really like today, I think. And I still think stacking Oakland is viable. Like they've got some cheap pieces that look good, but I think there's a reason that Phillips looks so good in the top pitcher tool. I think both sides are wildly in play, to be honest.
All right. Just looking it up here, 2 other sites that I have projections from do not like Phillips that much. However, we're talking like 3 DK points. Okay, that spans 11 pitchers. So it's that's 1.5 strikeouts, right? It's what are we gonna do here? So the salary, the point per dollar, all that's working out. The matchup, it is all that 1 game sample size here, but Oakland has, I don't want to say their offense has woken up because you really can't when you're one of the worst offenses in the league. They did look decent against Ranger Suarez last night. And they had the 20 run game a month ago. They had the 19 run game, but in between, just not a lot here. So
Also,
I see why
Ranger,
I'm not overly excited about it. I suspect, because I will be using the stochastic tools when I create or run my sims, I will probably have around 25 or 30%. I probably will cap him at 40%. I'm curious to see if it pushes there, but I would rather go to Scott
I have a homer note. Just a homer note. Ranger has been markedly off since he got hit with that line drive. They took him out of the game, and since then it's been a shelf. So just keep that in mind with the recent couple starts from him.
All right. Did the audience hear you, producer Mike? There you go. Unlike Jordan, who just whispers sweetly to the hosts, you actually let the audience know what they need to know. Let's move down the list here because you mentioned Evaldi, tough-ish matchup, I guess, going against Houston. They're down a couple important bats. You've got Grayson Rodriguez going against the Yankees. That's kind of a strength on strength matchup. I don't want to go to Spencer Arrighetti. I'm not really excited by Edward Cabrera. Luis Gil has to play one of the best offenses in the league in their home park. Now we're down to Andrew Abbott. I took the under on Abbott's strikeouts today, Matt. I still like him as a pitcher. I think this matchup is good. The Miami lineup does not strike out against lefties. Last I looked at their projected lineup had about a 17% strikeout rate against lefties. So I took the under 5.5 there at even money this morning, courtesy of Odd Shopper. I did not get it at my home sports book. I had to dabble somewhere else to get that because there were better odds. But sometimes you got to do what you got to do. You got to phone a friend when you only have one sports book. That would be, for those wondering, that would be the Hard Rock Sportsbook here down here in Florida. My wife got me this shirt. She has actually been to the Hard Rock Casino. I have not yet. So there we go. So I didn't hear anything, any gasps, any shouts, anything exciting going on for you with the rest of these pitchers. We have, let's see, I'm going to list the pitchers that have at least a 10% chance of being a top 2 pitcher on DraftKings today for you guys. Tyler Phillips, Nathan Eovaldi, Grayson Rodriguez, Christian Scott, Spencer Arrighetti, Edward Cabrera, Luis Gil, Andrew Abbott, Zach Littell, Cutter Crawford, Gavin Williams, Seth Lugo, and Mitchell Parker. Narrowly missing this, Dallas Keuchel at 8.4%. This is pretty flat pitching. The ownership is definitely going to Scott with 40%, so I will cap him at that. I want to match the field. Again, he'll be my main lineup, but parse us through some of these other guys. Make a case for one or two, Matt.
Well, I think the case for this group of pitchers is that guys getting love aren't like studs by any means. They're just cheap and in good spots. So whenever you've got situations like that and more talented pitchers in other spots and more difficult spots, I should say, that just is the case right there. So Luis Gil, I mean, really tough to get to him in this spot, especially with what Baltimore did to him last time they saw him. But his upside at 8,800 is probably tops on the slate. So I think that's pretty clearly a good case for him. Andrew Abbott's a matchup thing. Like, they don't strike out a ton against lefties, but they're awful, especially they're just really, really bad. So it is a nice ballpark upgrade for Miami. I understand playing some Miami bats, but Abbott's a fine pitcher and he gets a soft matchup at home against the Marlins. So I think he's in play for that reason. Edward Cabrera is interesting to me. I'd much rather play him over Arrighetti. I think his upside is higher, but I'm not sure if that upside is today because he's still working back from coming back off and being injured. Didn't throw a ton of pitches in his first start back. I don't expect them to go crazy with him here. Arrighetti's not very good, but he is cheap and not getting ownership. So I guess that is the case for him. Everyone else is just kind of there for me. Like Gavin Williams, I don't hate. Talent-wise, I think he's better than a $7,800 pitcher when fully healthy and stretched out, but he's, neither of those things right now, just coming back after missing the whole start of the season. So yeah, the two guys that are in play up top for me are Eovaldi and Rodriguez. I don't really love Eovaldi here though. Obviously Houston's still missing Kyle Tucker, but with Yordan Alvarez in there, like, just picking on Houston seems like a fool's errand more often than not, especially with expensive non-elite pitching, I should say. Like, Eovaldi's good, but he's not an elite DFS starter, and you're paying for that here and not a good spot. So I'm off that. I would rather get to Rodriguez. I think your point is well taken, strength on strength. He's been phenomenal this year, and I'm not scared of the Yankees. Most of their power is right-handed. This park plays awful for right-handed power. I think Rodriguez is my preferred spend-up option, but I completely understand why both Phillips and Scott are getting a lot of love because the other options are all just mediocre.
Yeah, mediocre is the absolutely perfect word for this. I wanted to go see that pitch count where we ended up with Abbott. So with Edward Cabrera. He came back last Sunday, got to face the Chicago White Sox. He went 3 2/3. He actually threw 82 pitches, 1 home run allowed, 4 strikeouts, 1 walk. After missing 2 months, he did have 3 rehabilitation starts, but that was mediocre at best. It's tough for me to get there to him only because he was not doing very well prior to going on the injured list there. He had close to, doing some math in my head, probably about a 7 ERA. So not that great, but he is one of the cast of thousands that we will be looking at if you are playing 150 lineups here. Are you ready to talk about stacks? Because I think we have more to discuss on this side of the equation.
I agree.
So similar to how the pitchers were rather compressed, we have Philadelphia and Cincinnati up at the top here. They each have an 11 and a 10.5% chance of being a top 2 stack on DraftKings. Then we have the teams between 7.3 and 6%. So just a clump of them. Miami, Washington, Kansas City, Boston, Milwaukee, Baltimore, Texas, New York Mets, and the Oakland Athletics. Yes, folks, the Oakland Athletics have a 6% chance of being a top stack today. That is 1.3% away from being the 3rd best. So this is going to be a baseball being baseball kind of day, Matt. Scrolling your way back up to the top, let me hit the Phillies because producer Mike is just going to close his eyes, sit back and enjoy this conversation because we're going to say nice things about the Phillies. They're going against Mitch Spence today. Did you ever see the movie Dazed and Confused?
Yeah, I've seen it.
One of the best movies. Very, very representative of what 1976 looked like. I was alive for 1976. I was in first or second grade. That's what all the high school kids looked like to me. They all drove muscle cars. They all had the bell bottom. I mean, that's what it was like growing up in my tiny little town, watching those guys roll. Yes, there was hazing in high school and just everything they did was there. It was kind of a shout out to rural America, even though that was placed in Austin. Loosely based on Richard Linklater's life, but they have Mitch Kramer. He's the pitcher on the freshman team, and the incoming senior class just hazes the hell out of the incoming freshman class. So you have Cole Hauser, who is Rip on Yellowstone. He plays Benny, a character in the movie, and they're out there in their tricked out truck, and he's got a CB radio. And of course, he has it hooked up to his speakers, so it becomes a megaphone for him, which tons of people in my Hicktown had that set up when we were kids. Then he calls out Mitchie to him. That's what I think of. That's Kyle Schwarber saying that. That's Bryce Harper. They are ready for this one. It feels like the ball's going to be popping off the bat here. I think I like literally everybody in the lineup, potentially the Bat Boy and the lucky fan in section 113 that is going to get a chance to take an at-bat in the 8th inning today. So I like the Phillies. It looks like the field's there as well. But
yeah, there's a lot to like about the Phillies here. I got no arguments except for I do think they're going to come in with a lot of ownership. And Spence isn't like a gas can. He's not good, but he's not awful. So I don't know. As of now, they look like a really good stack in all fields because They're the top stack on the board. Ownership isn't crazy, but I expect the top of this lineup to be pretty owned in smaller field stuff.
Yeah. I think what, probably 30% on some of these guys, the hitters. Think he
Yeah,
gets that high?
easily. Definitely. On like the Schwarber, Trey Turners of the world. I don't see why it couldn't get that high, I should say.
Yeah, it's the one. So I haven't built out my my DK lineups, but I built out my FanDuel lineups. My Yahoo lineups here, and I couldn't get to as I got to Schwarber, I got to Bryson Scott, Trey Turner, and Nick Castellanos. But Yahoo did a good job of pricing these guys. Schwarber's 25. I think Harper is or Schwarber's 24. I think Harper's like 25. Your average like position player is about 12. So it was hard to get them in there. Fortunately, I had a $7 Josh Bell and an $8 Riley Adams catching for the Washington Nationals going against Dallas Keuchel. They helped average cost this stuff down. But yeah, Turner at 23 and Schwarber at 23. I couldn't get a third one, and that was just too expensive. But I think that is the only thing that's going to be impeding people. And it's really not going to be as big of a deal on DraftKings because, of course, and FanDuel, because we have a couple not mispriced, but we have a couple reserves getting in today that are, below $3,000 that can really allow you some flexibility there. So clearly the Phillies are in a class by themselves today. The tools like Cincinnati, how do you feel about them going against Cabrera?
I like Cincinnati. I respect Cabrera. Like, he gets in his own head and puts guys on base and has a propensity to give up big innings because of that. But Field's clearly there. Like, Cincinnati and Philly are going to be the two highest on offenses. I don't think there's a doubt about that. And I would prefer to get to Philly over Cincy personally. Now, Cincy gives you more speed upside, like running and steals. So there's something to be said for that. And I don't think Cincy is a bad stack. Just for me, I'm probably looking to get just a little bit more contrarian than that. Again, though, I do think that like Philly comes in. We have it flipped right now. I expect Philly to come in with a little more ownership, but maybe I'm wrong there.
Oh, I thought they were. Oh, I had it. I had changed my sorts. Yeah, I think Philly's gonna come in higher than Cincinnati would be my guess. By the time we get there, they are going to be over leveraged, as is Cincinnati, but it's not by a lot. But again, this is one of those days where playing 150 and spreading out your possibilities and getting some of the right combinations could lead you to down the path to victory there, just because of the way things are spread out. Let's go back here. How do you feel about Milwaukee going against Mitchell Parker?
I think Milwaukee's in play, both them and Washington. I think both sides of that game have upside. Parker's been pretty good this year, so I'm not excited about Milwaukee. No Yelich in their lineup, which lefty on lefty, but he's still their best hitter, so that kind of stinks. I like Milwaukee, but they don't like stand out to me in any type of way. How about you?
It was hard. I live bet them yesterday and they let me down because I thought for sure they were going to come back on the brain cramp there on the Nationals, and they most certainly did not. I think Parker is okay. I am going to end up watching that game a little bit more because I want to see how he is. There's a lot of rookies going this yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So I want to catch some of that. Just looking here at the game log, Parker's been all over the place. Home runs kind of been just a little bit of an issue. Strikeouts have been actually okay. He has in his recent games, I should say, he has 8, 5, 5, and 6. He for the season has just 74 in 91 innings, so that's not great. He has allowed 12 home runs. He has 19 walks, but he has been, dare I say, decent. His worst game was 2 starts ago against the Mets when he gave up 5 earned runs, 3 home runs. Aside from that, he had 1 4 earned run game, and then everything's been 3 or fewer. I mean, I know offense is down across the league, but he's been holding his own. We've talked, or I've mentioned this all the time. I still can't figure out how the Brewers offense is up near the top there, just because when you go to look at them individually, it's not exciting. I mean, you got Joey Ortiz. Yep, he's great in the lineup today, or no Christian Yelich. So that we can sit a little bit even lefty on lefty because he is good against lefties. It's hard to get excited and call anyone out with the Brew Crew.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think if you're stacking them, you're just stacking them, like fully stacking. So I got nothing wrong with that. I like other teams better, but like I'm with you. There's not like a couple of bats that stand out. I mean, it would be probably Contreras. He's really expensive though. So if I'm stacking them, I'm probably stacking them fully.
Yeah, Contreras, his contact has been great, but the power really hasn't been there this year. Adames has not really had the power. He's walking. I mean, 14% walk rate against lefties. That's impressive in 104 plate appearances, but he only has a 140 ISO 310. Well, but Rhys Hoskins is striking out like it's his job, but he is, when he's connecting, he's been getting extra base hits. Joey Ortiz is probably the most well-rounded player there. And what is this? His second or third year? He hasn't been really in the league that long. And then you've got a relatively inexperienced Jackson Churio up at the top there. What's Churio done over the last 3 days? Last 30 days for Churio. He's at 84 at bats, 365 WOBA, 160 ISO, but he's actually been better against same-handed pitchers than he has lefties. Very small sample size there, but most of that production has come against righties. So I'm not excited by them, but again, they're one of the 11 teams that is in that peloton that is chasing down the Phillies and Cincinnati.
You know who I am excited about here? The Red Sox.
Okay, fire us up. Fire us up here.
So the Tools love Boston here. They have Lugo, or the Tools have Lugo as one of the worst pitchers on the slate as far as the top pitcher tool goes. Now, a lot of that's because he's so expensive, but Boston is like 6th on the board as far as top stack tool goes. They're coming in with one of the lowest ownerships on the entire slate. And Lugo has been very good this year, but his underlying numbers suggest that he's been getting extremely lucky. Came back down to earth a little bit in his last start in Colorado. Like, I think that there's regression coming for Lugo, and this is clearly not a good spot for him. Boston's good against right-handed pitching. Much tougher ballpark than he pitches in Kansas City. So I like me some Red Sox here, and I also like the other side of this game. Interesting to me, Crawford and Lugo have both been really, really good this year, yet the Tools love the stacks against them. So that tells me not everything, but something, if nothing else.
Let's look at the weather there, because it's kind of warm everywhere. Should have had this up. There we go. So it's going to be in the 90s in Baltimore. It's going to be almost 90 in Philadelphia. It is going to be low 80s in New York. Is 83 in Boston. 9 to 14 mile an hour breeze out to left center field. That's pretty good. It's going to be 90 in Cincinnati. 5 to 10 mile an hour breeze out to center field. So good hitting weather all the way around, except Tampa Bay, where it is, climate controlled in Tropicana Field there. Who do you have for a home run call?
All right, I'm going a little bit off the board here just because of the ballpark and no one's going to be on them here. Give me Josh Naylor going yard for the Guardians today. First inning shot.
Homer.
Hey, it's okay. I'll eat that.
I will say Brian De La Cruz. He's gonna show Ellie De La Cruz who the real De La Cruz is this year. Ooh, do you know what I like better than De La Cruz? Better. Aha, see what I did there? What I did there? That is the presenting sponsor of the show, Better, BETR. They are a pick'em site. I put the link there in chat. You can sign up. Your initial deposit bonus, they will match up to $500. If you're looking for a promo code, it is stochastic and the number 1. It is stochastic and the number 1. That lets them know you came from our show. You can go to that landing page there, and it's going to be stochastic and the number 5. It just tracks it a different way, but you will get up to a $500 deposit match. We do not see these very often. This is something you definitely want to take care of. Or take advantage of it, because they are taking care of you. We also have them supported across our Odd Shopper platform and other pick platforms or other content platforms that we have under the Stochastic and Odd Shopper umbrella here. You can build out your cards up to 8 players on a parlay card here. You can get up to 100x payout. Of course, they got WNBA, golf, MMA. They've got baseball, all sorts of goodness there. I noticed some of the sites are starting to dabble in, or not starting because Summer League just started, but the sites are putting up some Summer League wagers as well. So you definitely want to check that out. But for those of you in states that are not enlightened enough to have sports wagering, you probably have better in those states. So check that out. Let's do a quick lineup builder here, Mike. Let's do FanDuel. We have they're doing the main slate. So for our lineup generators, it's a resource intensive tool. So whatever the sites designate as their main slate, that's the one we focus on. Today, FanDuel has designated this afternoon slate as their main slate, the 8-gamer. So when you do the lineup generator, you can choose your stack type. You can choose 5-5, 5-4, pardon me, 5-5. Ugh, I'm losing my mind. FanDuel, 4-4, 4-3, or 4-2-2. DraftKings, it is 5-3, 4-4, and 5-0. Sorry, no popo here, but 5-0. See what I did there? Oh, I'm just on a roll. This is what happens when I don't get my nap on a Saturday morning here. My wife is out of town, so I had to get up at 6 and walk the dog because that's what she does. So sadly, when I'm here, when she's not here, I have to do that. But in any event, you can also build out, so you can pick your stack type. So let's I'll go back and do FanDuel on this one. There we go. So let's do 4-4 on FanDuel. And then let's do contrarian lineups. I'm curious to see how much Philadelphia comes up on our contrarian lineups. You can also lock in a pitcher if you so choose. We'll skip that. You can also lock in a hitter, and we'll skip that. You build out up to 20 lineups in your holding pen. At any point, you can go look at the portfolio that's been created in that holding pen on the portfolio page. When you get there, you'll see to the right is a breakdown of each of the players that are in your player pool. And to the left, you have these their lineups. So if you click on a player, it'll highlight their lineups and bring them up to the top. So you can go look at them individually and just see, hey, do I like this? Do I want to make a switch? You know, maybe it's perfect, except you wanted a different pitcher, or you wanted a different cheapie because it was something that was a little too chalky for you, or you had your eye on somebody else that didn't make it in that lineup. So that is the lineup generator. It is built on all of the other tools that we have here at Stochastic. Top pitchers tool, top stacks tool, the sims, it's built on that same engine. The slates for this is sim tens of thousands of times. It produces, I think it's 10 or 20,000 lineups. For this baseball, it's pretty easy to produce that many lineups and still have them be ROI positive. It gets a little tricky for basketball and football to do that, but baseball, because there are so many players and so many positions, it's very easy to be unique, even if you are allegedly chalky. But that is a good way to play with positive expected value lineups. If you have a time crunch, you're in a hurry, just want a rooting interest for something, you can throw together some lineups here, enter them into contests, and then, of course, kick back with the cold beverage after you get the kids to bed. So that is the lineup generator. All right, let's look at our 5-game main slate here. Now, ship happens. EMac always does the BS on Saturdays. He chooses the FanDuel trash. I do not. I absolutely do not. And I look forward to tomorrow when I do DraftKings. Everybody, you guys go bitch about there not being me doing FanDuel. I can never make everybody happy at once. So you know what I'm going to do? I choose me. I'm going to make me happy. And you know what makes me happy? Doing more ad reads. So let's get this up to about 75, 80 likes. Mike, monitor this. Maybe we get up to 100 likes, or I'm going to have to do some more ad reads because I'm fired up, and that'll be a calming Zen-like influence, me telling you about all the great things we have for you here. The main slate, the 5-game featured slate. Pitching at the top, we've got 3 or 4 options. Dylan Cease is going to be rather popular. He's had a couple rough go of his last few games. He's going against Atlanta. Of course, they're down Ronald Acuna and Michael Harris, but they've been pretty solid. They survived the surprise start last night by Matt Waldron. Are you pushing your chips in with Dylan Cease, or do you want one of these other options here?
Cease looks really good. It's still Atlanta, so like they haven't been as good this year, and no Acuna, no Michael Harris, but this isn't the Marlins or the White Sox we're talking about. Like, it's the Braves. Marcelo Ozuna, another 2 home runs last night. Like, I don't like Cease as much as the field here. I like him a lot because the other options just don't give a lot to be desired. But it's not a spot I'm like excited to play him. I just think he looks better than the field. That being said, I think my favorite pitcher on the slate, price and ownership considered, my 2 favorites, Gibson and Soriano. Like, Seattle has woken up. I played them the night that Crawford and Raleigh had the big game. So I've played them a ton this season. Mostly they've taken coin from me as opposed to making me money. And they do have a nice ballpark upgrade here, a huge ballpark upgrade when considering how tough it is to hit in Seattle. But they still strike out a ton against right-handed pitching. Soriano's a live arm, and he's cheap. And then Kyle Gibson's been good this year. And the Cubs have been pesky lately. They swept Baltimore. They were good, decent against Sonny Gray last night. But ultimately, no Cody Bellinger is going to, at some point soon, end up hurting this lineup. It's just not deep enough, in my opinion. So I like Gibson and Soriano like quite a bit here. And I understand why Birdsong is getting ownership at that really cheap price point.
No, that makes sense here for Birdsong, and I'm going a different way here. So I like Ronaldo Lopez. He gets to go against San Diego. This is his age 30 campaign. So, hey, why not have a career year? So last year, you remember that Lopez and Giolito ended up with briefly with your Cleveland Guardians. They were traded from the Chicago White Sox to Anaheim when Anaheim pushed their chips in the middle of the table, trying to make a run with Shohei Ohtani to, show them their commitment to winning, which, you probably should have done that before the last month prior to the trade deadline last year. So that didn't work out. So Anaheim put these guys on waivers, and then Cleveland claimed them because Cleveland was trying to do a Hail Mary to get into the postseason as well. That was Ronaldo Lopez signed a 3-year deal for $30 million with Atlanta, and more or less the promise that they were going to keep him in the rotation. He had kind of moved to a bullpen and then kind of a split role just after the pandemic for those seasons. So he has a 1.71 ERA, a 1.13 WHIP. Basically, those are career bests. He has 9.3 strikeouts per 9 innings. He's allowed more than 2 earned runs. I'm going to say this again. He's allowed more than 2 earned runs once, and that was 3 runs against the Mariners back in April, on April 30th, my birthday. He has 6 scoreless outings. That's pretty good. San Diego has been struggling at the plate. In their last 10 games, they've scored more than 3 runs only 3 times. So that is their kind of missing a couple key bats, and it's definitely showing for them. So I like him. I like George Kirby. George Kirby last year led the league with the fewest walks per 9 innings. He is second this year. He's actually better than last year. He has 0.89, but Zach Eflin is at 0.82. So Eflin is slightly above him. Kirby has led the league both years in strikeouts per walks. So basically, he is almost at double digits, which is absurd. That really shouldn't be happening. It's that kind of an outlier. So he is up to 9.91 strikeouts per walk. Last year, he was at 9. He is getting his WHIP is at 1, so that means walks plus hits per innings pitched. So he's allowing 1 base runner per inning. So he does give up some home runs. He has 4 different multi-home run games. However, it's because he's challenging hitters. And in his last 8 starts, he had 2 home runs allowed back to back to, it was in Miami. I can't think who it was. It was probably De La Cruz and Josh Bell, probably, or De La Cruz and Jesus Sanchez or something like that. But that was it. So he has been phenomenal this year. Anaheim, not that great. I like all of those guys, but wait, there's more. There's one more. Ilbir Diaz. I'm going with the rookie. We said there was a lot of rookies here, so he is getting his second start for the Diamondbacks because Merrill Kelly, Eduardo Rodriguez, Jordan Montgomery, they're all out with injuries. So he has an awesome fastball and 2 really good breaking balls. The only challenge, and he is no Pedro Martinez, the only challenge is he's 6 feet tall and about 185 pounds. So I don't know that he's going to be able to be a starter full time with his particular pitching motion. Read a lot about him on FanGraphs today, but that doesn't matter for today, right? And that is all we care about is today. I like him. I think gamers are going to stay away from that 4.4 implied run total going against him. I think he's a great source of differentiation. He is my SP2. I'm going to take one of those other 3 guys as my SP1, but I like this for differentiation. So we got 4 really good options here on this slate, and then you branched out with the guys you like. So pretty good pitching on this slate.
Yeah, for a small slate, for sure, no doubt.
So if we like that many pitchers, where are we on the hitters for the main slate here?
So I think hitting is spread out like the pitching is. As far as ownership goes, as of this moment, it looks like things are pretty spread out. For a 6-game slate, we've got, or how many games is it? 5 games?
5 games.
5-game slate, 6 teams projected to be double-digit owned. No team projected to be higher than 14% owned. So Cardinals look good. The Diamondbacks and Blue Jays, opposite Wilber Diaz, who you just made a strong case for, and I used him in his last start, and he was pretty good. They are in play, though. As of right now, I think my favorite stack would be the Twins. I know it's a tougher ballpark, but smaller slate, Birdsong's getting ownership. They're coming in with nice leverage. I actually like that play here. So I like the Twins, but you could sell me on a number of offenses on this slate.
Could I sell you on the Diamondbacks?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Barrios is fine. Nothing special.
Well, so I have recommended Jose Berrios several times this season, and he was good at the beginning of the year. But his pitch mix hasn't changed. His movement, the velocity, everything is kind of the same as what it was from in the beginning of the season when he was doing great. His full season long numbers still look good. However, if we isolate him down to his last 7 games, he has allowed a home run in each with 3 multi-home run games in this stretch. He's gone just 40 1/3 innings. He's only striking out 6.43. His strikeouts for this season are down almost, if I remember correctly, down almost 2 from his per 9 career and his per 9 last year. That's a dramatic change. I don't know if he's tipping his pitches, if he has something is off. I don't know, or it's just baseball being baseball. But in these 40 innings, he's allowed 11 home runs. He also has 11 walks. But the 5.33 ERA is better than his 6.5 FIP. And it's a little bit worse than his 4.9 xFIP. So it's not like he's been unlucky here. It's kind of happening. What's happening is happening for purpose. So you've got Lourdes Gurriel was out with a shoulder issue. But he gets a remember me game here. I think he should be back today. But in any event, you want Christian Walker, you want Jock Peterson here. Corbin Carroll has 4 extra base hits in his last 6 games. He has 4 stolen bases in his last 8, including 2 last night. That's for you, Matt, because you pointed out that he was likely recovering from a shoulder issue, but I think he's moving beyond that. Ketel Marte came in as a pinch hitter last night. I don't think he did anything his first at bat, but in the 9th inning he got a walk, and then he and Carroll pulled off a double steal. And then they got a sacrifice fly. They ended up winning 5-4 last night. So kind of a fun one down to the wire there. I don't like them for the 5-gamer, but I think for the little 2-game night slate, you can go to Eugenio Suarez, Alec Thomas, and then whoever's catching. It's probably going to be Gabriel Moreno again, but those guys are a nice contrarian stack. So I really, really like Arizona. Roof is scheduled to be close tonight, but yeah, picking on Jose Barrios, which is a little surprising there. A little surprising. Any other things you want to call out for the offense on this late or featured slate here?
I don't think so. I think the Twins, if I were building right now, would be where I'd go. Also, don't mind some Braves bats. Like, a lot of leverage to be had, and they're not bad. Like, for just the sake of the argument, St. Louis is the top stack on the board 13% of the time. The Braves are the top stack 7% of the time. So, like, that's not, that big of a difference when you think about it in context of the entire slate. So, yeah, I don't think taking some Atlanta bats against really, really popular seats is a bad move at all.
I agree, and that was sort of why. I mean, you can go at these two different ways. You either don't play him, or you go with the Braves, right? And I think both are probably shaping up to be decent differentiation pass tonight. So this is going to be a fun one for a 5-gamer tonight. I see someone asking in chat here. They were asking who are the most popular pitchers for the 4:00 slate. So currently that's going to be on DK. It's Christian Scott, 43%, Tyler Phillips at 28. You've got Edward Cabrera at 18, Valdi at 16, Arrighetti at 15, Luis Heel at 15. So, and then everybody else is kind of clumped between 6 and 10. So a good mix. It's really, it's kind of a price thing. The top 3 most popular pitchers are all under 7,200 on DraftKings today. So I think that's kind of driving them, because 2 of them look like we could stack against them. The only one who's not is Christian Scott. The interesting thing that I've been paying more attention to is if you use WRC plus, it neutralizes ballpark factors. So even though you can choose home and away, it's basically leveling that out. The Rockies are a bottom 5 offense when neutralizing them in Coors Field. When normalizing those park factors, they're a bottom 5 offense. So they're bottom 5 on the road. They're also bottom 5 at home. You get more runs because of how it works in actuality versus those metrics. So I was like, oh dear God, they are not very good at all. So that just makes Christian Scott popping. That's one other note I did not put in there. One other fun, we talked about free best ball. We talked about Better giving you a $500 deposit match. We talked about the lineup generator. Oh, OddsShopper. So OddsShopper is one of the other sites that under the umbrella here that we utilize. I utilize it all the time, even though I am just in Florida, where I only have one sports book, which is the Hard Rock. I like to use it to compare what the odds being offered at Hard Rock is. Are they good or bad? I know that I should not bet home runs at Hard Rock because they rarely go above plus 400. Whereas on FanDuel, you can get plus 500, plus 550, plus 580 for the same thing that's going off at barely plus 400 on Hard Rock. Can also use the free tools there on OddsShopper. I've been doing this as well because I get these boosters on Hard Rock, and they're not really that great. And in some cases, they lie. They were a booster when they posted it, and they had some shitty odds in the morning, and they've corrected, but they haven't adjusted the booster. So I found one today that I could go bet the a 3-leg parlay with 3 money line teams, and I got a better deal than their booster did because the odds have changed that much. So the point is, you got to be smart when you're looking at this stuff, because it's these minuscule edges that we are playing within here, and that you have to eke out your ROI. OddsShopper does all the heavy lifting for you. We've got those free tools there. It supports all the pick'em sites. It supports all the sports books. You can filter by state. I've been having more and more time to use it since I'm not chasing down a whole bunch of things at a lot of other sports books. So I'm trying to eke out everything I can. There's a nice promo page there that has most states covered, that tells you of the promotional wagers that are out there. For some reason, Hard Rock isn't in it, but the other ones tells you, is it a good bet or not? Usually you want to remember when sites are when the sports books are doing their promotions, unless if they're limiting you to 10 or 20 bucks and it's like a gimme, they're barely going to make it so it's break even. That's the promotion to you, is they're making it a coin flip instead of taking an advantage from you. So that's what we're dealing with here. But it's a great way to look across multiple sports, build out your parlay cards for you. There's even a tool there for most of the sports books that you can choose the bets you like, and then you sync up with it and it enters the bets for you. Wow. Doesn't get easier than that. $14.95 per week, $49.95 per month. And then we have a dozen sports related wagering channels in our Discord that you get access to with OddsShopper. And you got Aton and Ben and Greg and Isaiah and a bunch of other guys, Nate giving bets, Lindquist giving bets constantly in their areas of expertise. And there's a lot of good fans here. Shout out to Hutchboy. He does a good job there in the WNBA streets. So check that out. Home runs for your night slate here.
For the night slate, I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with Byron Buxton.
Oh, I like that. We didn't talk a lot about that game. It's a 4:15 local time start,
Which I like even more for the Twins offense. Like,
yeah,
it's on the night slate, but it's a day game for San Francisco purposes. So yeah, I understand Bergstad's ownership. He's been solid and he's really cheap, and Minnesota obviously is a ballpark downgrade, but I do think there's a lot of leverage in the Twins, and Birdsong is far from a proven commodity at this point.
All right. I'm going with Christian Walker. Going for the righty love there against Jose Berrios. That's going to do it for us. Thank you, everybody. You got about 10 minutes till lock. We're going to quickly build out our lineups. You guys can put your home run calls there in the chat. Let's see who's got any in there. Sir Charles knows the game. He's got Corey Seager in there. Turn the page on that one. Oh, they said Buxton's not in the lineup. Scratch. Who do you got now?
When did that lineup come out? Oh yeah, it did come out 2 hours ago. Wow. All right, so give me Matt Wallner hitting fifth.
Okay, that works. Same. Everything implies just a different player. All right.
Sure.
Okay, let's see it, Mike. What do we got? Bryce Harper. There you go. Malakar is joining you. You've got the old Mitchie. Freshman. Y'all meet here after school. You're only going to get one lift. One from each of us. But if you run, it's open season all summer long. That's such a good movie. All right. With that, we're going to get on out of here, but we will be back tomorrow at 12:30. Thank you to producer Mike for being behind the booth. Thank you to Matt. You can find him on Twitter at FantasyTipsMatt. You can find me on Twitter at EMac DFS. And of course, it is stochastic_COM. With that, gamers, good luck.